Hi Pisces, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your July 2026 tarot reading. Thanks to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a 12 card spread with each card representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Pisces, representing the first house, all the way through to Aquarius, representing the 12th house. When we get through the main spread, we'll actually pull an oracle card as well for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Guardian of the Night Tarot, and for the Oracle deck, we'll be using the Spirit Animal Oracle. But we're actually going to start reading off our rolling those astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, so we have Sagittarius, and for you guys, Sagittarius is actually your 10th house of career and social status. Astrologically speaking, it's a little quiet in that area of the zodiac right now, but you can still have some focus going there. Alright, we have Venus. So currently Venus is in your 6th house, and that's Leo. And on the 9th of July, it'll actually be moving into Virgo. So it'll be moving from your 6th house of health, work, and daily routines to your 7th house of partnerships and relationships. Alright, and we have 8. So 8th house energy for you guys is Libra. That area of the zodiac is also quiet right now, but again, there could be some focus in that area of life nonetheless. And 8th house energy points to death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments. So we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. Alright, so for the 1st house energy, which points to personality, self-awareness, and appearance, we have the World. So this is usually an energy of karmic completions, learning big lessons, and usually for me, the World card does point to North Node energy, and that's fitting because you guys have had the North Node in your sign for a little over, roughly around a year and a half, we'll say. And actually, on the 26th of July, the North Node will actually be moving out of your sign and into Aquarius. So definitely seems like a good fit there to see this energy here. But yeah, it could just be saying you guys might have gone through quite a bit of growth over the past year and a half, even though it might not have always been easy to learn those lessons. For the 2nd house of possessions, self-worth, and finances, we have the Hermit. So this is Virgo energy here. So yeah, this could just be saying that for some of you might actually be really taking a deep look on how you could improve that area of life, right? So maybe you're trying to learn some new things around how to manage finances, right? Maybe ways that you can invest, things along those lines there. But yeah, I feel like this is saying at the very least you're doing a bit of a deep dive to see how you could improve that area of life. In the 3rd house, which points generally to communication, short journeys, and siblings, we have the Two of Cups. So this is Cancerian energy here, and to see this come up in communication could just be saying that for some of you might actually have more of a desire to communicate more romantically, right? So of course, naturally that draws itself more to romantic context, but even, if you're just writing poetry, right, things along those lines there, it could be how you're feeling as well, just how you're expressing yourselves in general. And you could just be looking for a nice meeting of the minds with someone this month too. Alright, for your 4th house energy, which points to home, roots, and family, we have the Nine of Swords. So this is a Gemini energy here, which actually is your natural 4th house. So yeah, this could just be saying that when you are in your home environment, you might feel a little bit isolated, right? So maybe that could be part of why you do want to get out and communicate with people, express yourselves a little bit more too, right? Because for whatever reason, when you are within your own home environment, you might start to feel a little bit lonely and anxious as well. For your 5th house energy, which points to romance, creativity, and children, we have the Moon. So yeah, this is actually somewhat fitting because 5th house energy for you guys is actually Cancer, and we will have a new moon in Cancer on the 14th of July, so it could just be pointing to that. But in general, when I see the moon come up in the spread, I think of all the main lunar cycles that'll be taking place. So, the time of recording this, we still haven't had that full moon in Capricorn just yet, and that's actually in your 11th house of friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes. And then toward the end of July, there's going to be a full moon in your 12th house of Aquarius. So, could just be saying that those lunar cycles in particular are going to be the times when you're most focused on this area of life. But this could also just be saying, you might lack a little bit of clarity in this area of life as well. So look for those particular times to bring some more information your way too. All right, so for the 6th house of health, work, and daily routines, we have the 10 of Swords. So yeah, so definitely a bit of a heavy energy here. For some of you, this could just be saying that maybe you might go through a bit of an ending with some kind of a cycle that you've been in lately. So, for some of you, this could be in a more positive sense, right? Maybe if you've had an unhealthy habit that you've been engaging in and you know that it's had a negative impact on your health, maybe you could be letting that go this month. For others of you, could just be saying, no, that maybe something that you've been accustomed to, right? You might have to release it this month. So, even if it didn't necessarily have a negative impact on you, it could just be one of those things where you might actually have to let it go for one reason or another. And it could just be, in the moment a little bit painful for you to make the move, but could be for the best in the long run. All right, so for your 7th house energy, which we saw technically come up with the dice too, we have the 6 of Wands. So yeah, this is Leo energy here, and in general points to an energy of victory, recognition. So yeah, so this could just be saying that when it comes to your partnerships, whether they be romantic or business, it could just be saying that there could be some forward momentum and progress there, and you might actually feel like you're valued within the situation as well. All right, so for your 8th house, which we mentioned earlier, points to death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments, we have the Lovers. So this is the major arcana card for Gemini, and to see this here, could just be saying that for some of you might actually be really into that energy this month, maybe wanting to be more intimate, which we talked about possibly could be the case, right? We saw the 2 of Cups in the 3rd house as well. But if not, that could just be saying that maybe you just really are looking into doing deep dives in general, right? And it is kind of fitting in a way that even though this is Gemini energy, we see more like a Scorpio symbolism in the artwork, right? But either way, I feel like this is saying that it's going to be something that's an overall net positive, right? So whether it is just strictly related to finances, right? We talked about how maybe you're doing some smart moves there when we see the Hermit energy in the 2nd house, and it could just be saying that it could be paying off for you in that regard. But for a lot of you, I feel like it could just be more tied to your romantic lives in this context too, though. All right, so for your 9th house energy, which in general points to philosophy, higher learning, foreign affairs, we have the 8 of Cups. So this is actually a Pisces energy right here. And to see this could just be saying that maybe you're shedding some beliefs behind right now. In a more positive sense, those could have been self-limiting beliefs, right? We talked about seeing the world in the 1st house and that seeming to point to the transit of the North Node through your sign wrapping up in July. Could just be saying that maybe you're just leaving some things behind that maybe you did believe for a while, but you feel like they just no longer really fit with where you are in your life right now. And it looks like it'll take some courage to leave them behind, but it looks like you're just ready to do it. And deep down, you might know the time is right to let it go as well. All right, so for your 10th house of career and social status, which we also saw represented with the dice, we have the Hangman. So yeah, could just be saying that for some of you might feel like there's a lack of movement there, right? So maybe you're just in a transitory phase right now. We saw the 10 of Swords in the 6th house, right? And to see this in the 10th house could just be saying that maybe you're in between um, careers right now, right? Or maybe you still are within a certain place, but at the very least you have thoughts of, do you want to move somewhere else, right? So it could just be one of those things that you're reflecting on. Looks like you're not necessarily ready to jump on an opportunity just yet, but at the very least you're thinking about it. All right, so for the 11th house of friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So yeah, so this is a Capricorn energy here. And to me, this says that you're going to find that some of your friendships are actually going to prove to be quite reliable, which is obviously a positive, right? So it could just be one of those things, or maybe even reconnecting with old friendships from the past. And that wouldn't be too much of a surprise, as far as we do have Mercury retrograde energy that'll be taking place for the majority of July. So that could bring past situations back around as well. But yeah, to me, this looks like an overall positive to see this coming up in your house of friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes. Speaking of Mercury retrograde, right? And for your 12th house energy, which in general points to mental health, blind spots, and spirituality, we have the Emperor. So yeah, so to me this points to you being more proactive, right? Wanting to take more control over your lives, right? So maybe for a while you might have felt like life was something happening to you, and now it's something that you want to be more proactive and steering it in the direction that you want it to go in. Now, seeing this in the 12th house could just be saying you might not be quite ready to take that leap of being more proactive, but at the very least, it's coming up in your mind quite often, and that could be the spark that motivates you to move in that direction if you haven't done so yet. All right, and for the bottom of the deck, we have the Ten of Wands. So yeah, seeing the Ten of Wands here, and then seeing the Ten of Swords in the 6th house, given that Ten of Wands is a Sagittarius energy, which is tied to your career, could just be saying that, yeah, maybe you've come to the end of a cycle in one place, and you're moving on to the next, right? Or maybe even within the same job, but maybe you're wrapping up one big project, right? It might have taken a lot out of you. Now it'll be time to start something new soon. But that's what I see with that. And we'll see what the Oracle card adds to the mix. So we're going to pull a card from the Spirit Animal Oracle. I'm just going to give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. All right, we'll take this card here, get this out of the way, and we'll see what you got. All right, we have Wombat Spirit. It says, be at home. Fitting, right? Seems like a contrast to what we were saying, that I was seeing this energy, thinking that when you are in your home environment, you might feel a little lonely and want to get out. But we'll see what the actual message says in the book. All right, the Oracle message says, burrowing deep into the ground, remaining safe, sound, and well fed with family is a special trait of the wombat. Home sweet home is always available if you recognize that well-being is the truth of life. Wombat Spirit reminds you that to be truly at home in the world, you need to find comfort within your own skin. You do this by accepting all your experience without judgment through a deep honesty and love of life. When you feel the freedom to be yourself, you can begin to truly feel at home in your life, with your family and tribe. Right now, you're in a beautiful place where you can hang up the coat of your identity and settle into a true sense of home and well-being, understanding that all is well. Everything you do from this place rings true in harmony with spirit. So yeah, definitely a good message there, because I could see how the two things are tied in, right? Where this is talking about being at home, but it also mentions being around others, right? So in the physical sense of being at home, right, maybe you do feel a little lonely, maybe because you do feel like you're hiding part of yourselves, right? But I feel like this is saying that when you do get out there, as long as you're your authentic self, you be met with positivity, right? So we can see that with the Six of Wands and the 7th house energy, Queen of Pentacles in the 11th house that we spoke about as well. So yeah, definitely seems like a positive message overall there. So hopefully that resonated with you guys, and we'll wrap up there. All right, bye.